What's good, my people? Welcome into Buckets, Action Network's daily NBA betting podcast. We're in the workshop, Tuesday, NBA slate, so you know who's with me. J Money is money. You know the man. NBA Talk with Jay. Go subscribe to the man's YouTube page, ASAP. I am your host, Sean Little, recording live from my Tommy John home studio. You know how we get down. We get the play, we get the cap, we get you guys out of here. Before we do that, go download the Action Network app. Go subscribe to the Action Network YouTube page. And we're doing a special show tomorrow. Me, Jay Money, Matt Moore, live 8 p.m. Eastern. It's not even tomorrow. It'll be later. So when this goes live, it'll be later today, this evening, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be talking futures. We're going to be talking the late games on the NBA, slips, anything that we could play we like. We're going to break down that late window. We're doing a show with Show Us. Show Us is a platform that gives our fans the opportunity to come in, get a ticket to the show, which will be accessed via a link. You come in, you hang out, ask us questions. Jay Money, Matt, and I will be talking through what we like, what we think of the NBA going forward. Don't miss it, man. It'll be all over Jay Money, at Jay Money on Twitter. He'll retweet it. It'll be on mine. It'll be on Matt Moore's. You'll be able to find it. We'll put it in the description in this podcast link as well. All right, Jay. 5 games on the slate. 4 are double-digit numbers. It's not the most appetizing slate. But give me your best bet for the Tuesday NBA slate.
I'm going to go with Nets under their team total under 105.5.
Cam Johnson for me, over 2.5 triples. We got to find, there's no number posted as we record this Monday night, but it should be around that minus 120, minus 130 range, depending on where they hang it. Stay tuned. Also, Knicks team total over 116.5, minus 110 in the market. All right, Jay Money, we're both on the same game. Let's talk about it. Brooklyn Nets lost by 100 the other week to the Clippers. Seems impossible, but actual number was 59. They got dusted off. They lost to the OKC Thunder the other night, but had a couple wins before that. We're going to get into this game in depth. Interesting matchup because the Knicks are on a back-to-back, but no travel because the game is in Brooklyn. There's a crazy window, Jay, where the Knicks in like a 6-week span don't have to leave New York. They play a ton of games at Madison Square Garden. Then they go to Philly, which is just a train ride. They hop on the train, and then they got this game. That's a back-to-back in Brooklyn, but that's no problem at all. Talk to me about why you like the team total under here for a team in the New York Knicks that some nights they play D, other nights they don't. Talk to me.
Yeah, I think this will be a little bit easier night for them. Now, I can't say you can't sleep on the Nets because, I mean, they still have NBA players. Even though their main scorer, Cam Thomas, is out, they kind of pick and choose when they want to play Ben Simmons and stuff like that, man. So, in regards to that, they still really struggle to score, man. They have not gotten more than 105 points. They're basically 7-2 to the under on this same team total in their last 9 games, man. And the only couple of games they did that was from 2 of the worst teams in the league versus the Jazz, where they put up 111 when they had to go to overtime for them to get that 111. Then they put up 132 versus the Portland Trailblazers in that one, man. So if it wasn't for that overtime, they'd be 8-1 to the under on this one. This team really struggles to score. I still think that the Knicks have a top-tier defense with guys like Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, obviously OG Anunoby as well. Definitely a top 5 defender in the league, man. So I just feel like this is a little bit of a rival, but Nets also coming back home off a 6-game road trip. They've had 2 other spots like this this season where they were coming off a road trip. They scored 94 points versus the Philadelphia 76ers, and then they scored 100 points versus the Orlando Magic, and they were coming off a 4-game West Coast road trip in that one as well, man. So only 1 day of rest. Literally, they went from OKC back to the house. We're going for 6 games. I don't like this spot here for the Nets. This team is they're not offensively cohesive right now, and Cam Johnson's going to be traded probably any day now. You know what I mean? They're doing a fire sale over there for the Nets, man. So I don't trust them to get to 106 points. I don't think they get past 100. So my best bet for tomorrow this slate is going to be Nets team total under 105.5.
Yeah, I'm with you. We're aligned. We're correlated. I think this is a good spot for the Knicks to get a big-time win. You mentioned them coming off. You know what I say, Jay? You come off the road trip, man. You check in with the girlfriend. Maybe it might be a few girlfriends with an S. You gotta run around town, check in a little bit. You gotta walk the dog. You gotta pick up the dry cleaning. Next thing you know, you down 15 at the crib, and the Knicks are getting up and down before you are even ready to play basketball. You mentioned that road trip for those guys coming back. The Orlando Magic that you mentioned, they were coming off that road trip. They scored 100, but they gave up 126 to the Magic. That's also part of the spot why I like the New York Knicks here to put up more than 116.5 on the team total. We'll cap that first because they're all correlated. This entire conversation I'm having with Cam Johnson as well is correlated. I like the way the Knicks closed the game. I was at the Hawks game tonight. I like the way they closed that game. They look shaky. The Knicks in the first half have just in the first quarter specifically have been a really, really bad basketball team for whatever reason.
That's a fact.
They start to put things together in the second half, and that's exactly what they did against the Atlanta Hawks, who, in actuality, if they have to see those guys in the playoffs, it's going to be a really long series. It's going to be a grind. It's a bad matchup for those guys. They are long. They got a lot of long wings that are versatile that could give guys like Jalen Brunson and co some issues. This team also doesn't like each other, and I saw some fire from Mikal Bridges for the first time, I think maybe ever. Since he came into the league, I don't think I've ever seen him on a couple possessions as fired up as I saw him against the Atlanta Hawks. He was talking shit to Trae Young. There was a couple little he on a couple possessions got Trae Young in the post and was backing him down, and they were chirping. There was another possession where Mikal Bridges locked up Trae Young for essentially the entire 24-second clock. Got a 24-second clock violation after he was called for an offensive foul on the previous possession. So hopefully that, woke them up a little bit. But I think either way, offensively, this is a really good matchup, and I really liked the way they closed the game. When we start talking about three-point shooting, J Money, the Brooklyn Nets are the worst team on the entire planet to defend the three. They're the worst team in the NBA by a wide margin. Now, the only thing that makes me nervous a bit on the team total is that the pace for both of these teams is very, very low. They don't like to get up and down, especially the Brooklyn Nets. And then when we talk about the Knicks, the one thing we always talk about, what type of game are we playing? Who's determining the type of game script? That's the one thing the Knicks will play into. Like, y'all want to play slow? Jalen Brunson will slow that joint down as slow as you guys want, and we'll play with Cat. That's my only concern on the team total here, but I still think 116.5 is too low. Brooklyn Nets allow the best three-point percentage in the league. It's right around – it's 38%. They gave up 44.2 last game out. They just don't defend the three at all. When we talk about them since D'Angelo Russell has showed up to town, the defense has gotten worse. Last 10 games for them, the defensive rating is 26th in the NBA. This team just has nothing going for it at the moment, unfortunately. I like Fernandez and what he's been doing with what he's been dealt. But a lot of the guys, they just don't have enough. They're just playing. As you mentioned, they have NBA guys, but Cam is out. Cam Johnson's playing to get out of town. That's also why I'm backing him. I just think with it being a back-to-back, this number is probably reflecting a little lower, and I just think the Knicks are going to come out and ready to play, sleeping in their own bed and just going to the other side of town. So I like that team total on a team that can't defend the three, overall doesn't play defense, and the Knicks have been beating up on teams like this in this spot, and the Nets are coming back from a long road trip. I think that by the time they wake up and ready to play, the Knicks may have 60, 65 points in the first half here against the Brooklyn Nets. We mentioned at the top of the show that we're coming to you from our Tommy John home studios, and that's because great games start with great underwear, and Tommy John makes the greatest. Tommy John was nice enough to send me underwear, pajamas, shirts. It was so good and comfortable. I went and bought my own, passed them out for Christmas, everything. I'm wearing Tommy John draws right now. Very comfortable. Go check them out. I wouldn't tell you that if I didn't believe it. Remember, when you're truly comfortable, you do everything better, and that includes betting. So if you love the Buckets podcast, if you love this crew, Sean Little, Jay Money, you'll love Tommy John. Get 25% off your first order right now at TommyJohn.com/buckets. That's 25% at TommyJohn.com/buckets. All right, let me give you one more cap and then we'll break it all down. Come back to it. Cam Johnson, over 2.5 triples. Tough to give this play out not having a number, but I would play this up to minus 135, minus 140. They just played the Oklahoma City Thunder, who is the best perimeter defense in the NBA. I understand that, but it was Cam Johnson over 2.5 threes was mostly minus 120 in the market. It closed as high as plus 120 at BetMGM. So there's a lot of fluctuation between some of these books. So make sure you shop around and get the best number. When we talk about Cam Johnson and the New York Knicks defending the three, they just have a really hard time. Jay, I watch these guys every single night. I don't know if it's because they're playing a lot of minutes and closing out on threes takes a lot of energy. I don't know if it's rotations, because sometimes it is rotations. They're just missing guys. I don't know if it's mostly transition, but they give up a lot of open looks from deep. Tonight versus the Atlanta Hawks, they allowed 13 of 23 from deep from Trae Young, DeAndre Hunter, and Vit Krejci.
Yeah.
And this is every single night. The last 3 games for the New York Knicks, they're allowing an eye-watering 46% from deep. And when we talk about the corners, it's the worst 3-point. It's 29th in the NBA, allowing threes from the corner at 42% a game. That is their biggest concern for me going forward, is how are they going to defend the three? Now, when we talk about Cam Johnson, that's all this boy is doing. He's averaging 8.5 attempts in January. He averaged 7.5 in December, and he's hit 3 in 5 of his last 7 games. So he gets them up, he knocks them down. He's shooting 41% in January, 44% in December. He's been sensational from deep when he's on the floor. Probably the most valuable guy out on the market. I think the entire league would take Cam Johnson off the Nets' hands if offered the right deal. So that's what I'm looking at. In a game where both teams don't defend the three very well, the guy that's going to be getting them up is Cam Johnson for the Nets. I think he knocks down 3, which he's been doing all year long. And then when we talk about the Knicks, this is just a good spot for them to beat up on a bad team without travel on a back-to-back. So talk to me. How you feeling?
This is the perfect opportunity for you to have a practice type of game as well. If you're bad at defending the three, they should put emphasis on that versus the Nets. Hey, let's shut this team down. Back-to-back or not, this is a perfect team to work out some kinks on, in my opinion, man. Sometimes you need games like that where it's like, all right, look, we know that we're much better than them, but let's show that we can do this, or let's work on our 3-point rotations. Let's work on our defensive schemes for the future. So I think they put the Nets in a chokehold here. And also, watch out. This is the first leg of a back-to-back for the Nets. Ben Simmons does not play back-to-backs. So it's either he's playing this one and sitting the next game versus the Suns, and I don't think they've been letting Cam Johnson play back-to-backs as well, man. So keep an eye on if some guys pop up on the injury report for the Nets, don't be a bit surprised, because they're going to choose someone to play this game, whether it's both players or just one of them, and then whoever plays is going to sit out that next night versus the Suns. But I mean, they're likely get boat raced in both games, so it doesn't really matter, in my opinion. I know that they have beef. They have a in-state rival with the Knicks, but Knicks have owned these boys, won 8 straight matchups, beat them twice already this year as well. Now, the Nets did put up 122 in that first game, but that's when they still had all their guys. The last one, they only put up 104 now in the Garden. I think we'll see a little bit more of like that one in there. I struggle to see them even get to 100 points here. So I wouldn't talk you off some people if they wanted to take some alternate team total unders with the Nets, but I'll go ahead and take the 105.5 with the extra insurance here. But yeah, I couldn't talk you off Cam Johnson threes, my guy.
Yeah, and you mentioned the first game that was in the 120s for Brooklyn. That's when Cam Thomas, I was at that game. Cam Thomas went berserk. He had 43. He scored like 23 points. He scored like 23 points in the first quarter. So without him on the floor, that's something that you can't count on. But in that game, if you go back and look at the box, they gave up 40% from 3 in that game as well. So in both games, they went over the 124, the 116.5 in the first game. Second game was an interesting spot because it was one of those duplex spot where it was a home and home at the Garden. So they got to see them right away, and like 2 days later. So I think that helps when we're talking about defensive schemes as well. But this is an entirely new team that they're going to see with the New York Knicks. I think this is the spot where they get up 120 plus, and Cam Johnson kind of has free reign in the green light to just put up and get up shots and either make himself extremely valuable for others or, audition for the rest of the league, or, I guess become a piece that the Nets are trying to move forward with. But I doubt that's something that he is interested in. Everything we just laid out, all the plays, they're going to be in the description in quick slip links. Go check them out. You can click on it. It'll take you right to where you can bet the plays that me and J Money just gave out instantly. Takes away all the legwork of looking and finding your play. You can click on it, take it there, and then you can fire away with me and J Money and hopefully cash. All right, to recap, J Money is money. Nets team total under 105.5. I am on the Knicks team total over 116.5, and Cam Johnson over 2.5 threes. I would play it up to minus 135, minus 140, depending on where it shakes in the market. For J Money is money, I am your host, Sean Little. Don't forget, tap in with us tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern. Show us times the Bucket Squad. You can come in there, ask us whatever you want. We're looking forward to hanging out with you guys and talking some hoops. Subscribe to the Action Network YouTube page. Follow J Money on Twitter at J Money is money. Follow me. I am at Chicago Flow. Until next time, which is tomorrow, which is tonight. Let's get buckets, baby.